Welcome back, everybody. Today we are diving into the world of Japanese trucking. This video got 500,000 views in 8 months. I have no idea about trucks in Japan. I guess they must be very different from the European ones. Let's go.
Almost 92% of Japan's population lives in the city. This might not be that surprising of a statistic, but it does explain why Japan's urban centers are so dense. Here, millions of people are packed together like sardines, with the only roads being more so of an afterthought than the pre-planned grids we're used to here in North America. But this really isn't an issue for the majority of the urban Japanese.
What? What is that? Is she wearing a mask? Or is she that white? What?
Population, as car ownership rates are fairly low. In Tokyo, between all 23 wards, car ownership is only 32%. However, these small streets and dense urban areas are a concern for the nation's truck drivers, who are responsible for completing the final step of Japan's supply chain, financially composing over 90% of the nation's transportation industry.
90%? That means they almost use no trains. That's crazy. By the way, I have lived in Japan for 8 months in total. And I have probably never seen a big truck. Like, I've seen the small trucks, but they're really small.
In Japan, there are the big four manufacturers: Hino, Isuzu,
The second one.
and Fuso, which dominate the Japanese market, and though uncommon, there are a small number of European branded trucks such as Scania, Volvo, and Mercedes in the country. The vast majority of Japanese trucks are day cabs, as most drivers are local and don't have to live out of their trucks. In addition to this, day cabs are smaller and easier to drive in narrow areas. Japanese infrastructure, much like certain parts of Europe, was originally built on a human scale instead of a car scale as our western cities are. While Japan has plenty of regular-sized roads, it's not uncommon for truckers to have to navigate small alleyways or tight areas in order to reach their final destination.
He is telling me that a truck fits through this road. Liar.
There are two separate standards for trailer size and weight limit in the country, which has led to two dominant trailer configurations.
Wait, that's not Japan, is it? Oh no, it's... that road sign looks like in Europe. So I thought it's Europe, but it's written in Japanese.
The semi-trailer and the full trailer. A semi-trailer is a trailer which is partially supported by the cab, not entirely by its own axles, whereas a full trailer can support its own weight. In Japan, both of these trailer types are used: semi-trailers by independent cabs and full trailers by rigid trucks. On expressways where there is more space, semi-trailers are limited in length to 16.5 meters, while rigid trucks with a full trailer on the back are limited to 18 meters. On most non-expressway roads, you're likely to see trucks with 4, 6, or 8 wheels on a rigid chassis. Some of these, mostly the long...
Compared to European trucks, those things look tiny. Yeah, and American trucks are even bigger. I don't know how you can call this a truck, man.
Longer ones feature 2 turning axles for a tighter radius. Size requirements on these roads are stringent, with rigid trucks being limited to 12 meters in length and 2.5 meters in width. That's not to say that longer articulated trucks or rigid trucks with full trailers cannot leave the expressway, but that they can only do so in specified areas. If you're curious about specific weight limits and distribution requirements, check the first link in the description below. Japan is also known for low speed limits, as the highest national speed limit is capped at 80 kilometers an hour. Though most trucks have the ability to go faster than this, there's less need for high...
80 kilometers per hour? That can't be. That's nothing.
Capped at 80 kilometers.
How can they transport anything?
Though most trucks have the ability to go faster than this, there's less need for high-speed travel as driving distances in the country aren't far. One major benefit for truck drivers in Japan is the lack of transportation authority, or at least the flavor of authority that we're used to here in the West. In Japan, most regulations are dealt with remotely through many cameras and sensors which line Japan's expressways, so drivers don't have to stress about being pulled over. There is also this overall sense of greater trust among Japanese trucking companies, as it is a highly regulated industry with frequent evaluations. It's not uncommon to see trucks equipped with cameras, tachographs, GPS trackers, and various other features which collect data to increase overall safety. Japan
that makes
is
so much
serious
sense.
about driver safety that since 2011, breathalyzer tests have been mandatory for all commercial drivers prior to beginning their shift, in order to combat drunk driving related accidents.
What?
You can easily...
If they would introduce this in Europe, they wouldn't have any truck drivers left. They're all drinking.
Identify commercial trucks in Japan based on their iconic green license plate, which expressway cameras use to identify vehicles and perform weight in motion tests, where a vehicle's gross weight is measured automatically as they drive down the road. Now, I would be amiss if I didn't...
What the hell is that? Is it a truck from the future? What the hell?
Mention one of the coolest parts of Japanese trucking, which is these highly decorated trucks known as decotora.
I've never seen them.
This subculture began following a series of movies released in the 70s and 80s called Toraku Yaro, or Truck Guys, which showed truck drivers in these really flashy and well-designed rigs. Instantly, a decotora fad swept the country. Later in the 90s, the culture was heavily influenced by Gundam, which are these fictional military robots that leaked into Japanese culture. You might know them from the popular figurines.
No way.
For all its ups and downs, tight corners.
Guys, this is so awesome. I can't. They really built this? Who's paying for that? What?
90s, the culture was heavily influenced by Gundam, which are these fictional military robots that leaked into Japanese culture.
This
you
is
might
amazing.
know them from the popular figurines. For all its ups and downs, tight corners, and precise turns, Japanese trucks, like all global trucks, keep this world running and serve as another, albeit flashy, reminder that without these dedicated men and women on the road, we'd all still be living in huts. Thanks for watching. I've got some more trucking videos up and coming, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. And if you're interested in gaming content, which I used to post a lot of...
Alright, that was a nice little video. Thank you, Yukon, for making this. I had no idea that those trucks here exist in Japan. Transformer trucks, kind of. Gangnam trucks. Transformers is a cheap fake thing from the States. And it's even funnier that the development began with these kind of weird movies. I have seen similar trucks to that in the Philippines and in Guatemala, like with love to detail, lots of crazy stuff added to them. But I didn't expect this in Japan, not at all. I guess I have to travel more in Japan to see some of those awesome trucks. Yeah, I feel like I have missed out a big part of the culture in Japan. It seems that truck drivers have a much better time in Japan. Yeah, except they can't drive drunk, but they have awesome trucks to drive with. Much more awesome than the boring ones we have here in Germany. They all look the same. They have no color. They have no like fancy paintings on them, no detail. That would probably not even be allowed due to German regulation. Everything in Germany is very strict. So yeah, it's very sad, kind of. But yeah, with that said, see you guys tomorrow.